that we've defined what we're talking about, let's get back to how this is going to help us fight zombies. Like I said off the top, the biggest key to protecting yourself against the zombie outbreak is learning to recognize the danger signs before you're under attack. I want you to check this out.
You okay? Ma'am, can I get you something, like a glass of water? Anna? Anna, come here.
Guys, do you want to move into the other room?
Holy shit!
Holy shit. Holy shit.
So here's my problem with that scene. By this point in the movie, Anna has seen tons of zombies before. She knows what they look like. She knows how they behave. She's got more than enough information to kind of put the pieces together. And let's face it, before she died, that lady already looked like a zombie. But she doesn't heed any of the warning signs. You know, she just kind of pretends like it's any other day with some mysterious illness that she just can't identify. It's rather than recognizing the fact that she's surrounded by zombies, and maybe it might be a good idea to take a precaution. And then her refusal, her inability to spot the zombie problem before it became basically a thing that was rushing at her, trying to kill her. It puts her in danger. It puts people around her in danger. I mean, in this case, we're lucky, and because she's Sarah Polley, she's not going to die in the movie, and she's able to react quickly, and she's able to save herself. But if she had been just a little bit smarter, she could have seen it coming a long way off and at least done something. So I guess the important take-home point is that ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. But even more than that, ignoring the problem can put you in serious danger. Either you're going to end up getting chomped by someone who's let this racism zombie virus overrun their brains, or perhaps worse, you're going to end up saying or doing something that hurts someone else because we're all infected. I'm not going to go into a full exhaustive list of every single racist statement in the world, but I'm going to give you a few examples of warning signs when you know you're in trouble. So if anyone ever starts a sentence this way, I don't want to sound racist, or I'm not racist, or anything like that, then they're a zombie and you have to chop their heads off immediately. That sentence always ends with something racist. I've never in my life heard anyone say, I don't want to sound racist, but I think I'm going to go have a nap. Or, I'm not a racist or anything, but I don't like that new car smell. Never in my life have I heard anyone say, I don't want to sound racist, and then end with something that wasn't completely racist. So if you start the sentence that way, it's because you know you're going to end it with something racist, so just don't go in there. This one is one of my favorites. It's not possible for me to be racist because I do not indiscriminately hate every single black person on the planet as individuals. I even let one of those people cut my hair. You don't have a black friend. What you have is a shitty excuse. And chances are, if you did have a black friend, they wouldn't appreciate being used that way. So everyone knows, right, that warning someone that something bad is about to happen is what causes bad things. Like if you don't shout, look out, a bus, the bus will just go right through the person and no one will be harmed. Or you know how like the Canadian Cancer Society, by raising awareness about cancer, is actually causing all the cases of cancer in the world? It makes perfect sense to me, right? No, obviously not. Being aware of race, being aware of racism, does not perpetuate it any more than being aware of any problem makes that problem continue. Okay, if I didn't hear this one so often from people who meant it, I would think that it was only ever used as a joke, but people actually do believe that the election of a single black man to high office in one country means that racism is now a thing of the past. You know, this is like the black friend on steroids. Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I get this all the time. Like, Ian, why are you talking about racism so much? We've got a black president. I think we've kind of figured it out, man. Like, lighten up a bit, all right? It is a very common. I almost feel bad for people who say it because clearly they're clutching for any straws of hope that they can come across.
But they probably didn't vote for him, right?
Well, I'm gonna leave that one alone because I hear it from liberals just as often as I hear it from conservatives. Yeah. But to borrow a phrase, a black president is not a rabbit in the Precambrian. It is not proof that this thing doesn't exist. He's an outlier from a much larger and much more depressing trend. Okay, this one. In order for something to be reverse racism, what you're suggesting is that there is a correct way for racism to go, and that affirmative action is the reverse of that. Racism is racism, and to say that something is reverse racism means you've got a lot of skeletons in your brain there. I don't really want to go into a full exhaustive discussion about what affirmative action is and what it looks like, because it takes a lot of forms, and there are a lot of wrinkles that need to be ironed out. But I will say that giving someone a leg up is not the same as chopping everybody else's heads off. That's what chopping everybody else's heads off looks like, by the way. So there are a lot more. Like, this could be its own presentation. There was actually a document that was just released this past weekend that looks at 28 commonly used phrases that people who would like to talk about racism should understand in order to realize that they're not helpful or accurate statements at all. So next time you see like an online news story, if you're following a comment thread on a blog that's talking about race, you're gonna find, I guarantee you're gonna find at least one of these on it. And now that you recognize them, you know the appropriate and mature way to deal with them. So, many times when people are confronted, when they make statements like these, when they say, man, that suggests that you might have some racist ideas, they react really defensively. And I get that, I understand that. No one wants to be thought of as racist, especially when they didn't mean it to be hurtful. And the conversation is difficult. I know, I find myself reacting defensively often when talking about, for example, feminism, and someone calls me out for saying something that's maybe misogynistic, or in another conversation maybe I say something that can be construed as homophobic. And for someone who works hard every day to try to reduce the amount of discrimination in the world and to raise people's awareness, it's hard for me to deal with. So I get that. That's the thing to keep in mind. It's really easy to spot it when other people are doing it. It's a lot harder to accept that you might do it yourself from time to time. And it's even harder to react to someone saying that thing that you said is racist, or even you're a racist, by saying, you know what, you might be right about that. So this is the question, what happens when you find yourself as being treated like a zombie? You don't hate a particular group that's being talked about, and yet people are making that accusation. This is really, really common when you walk into a minority space. When I say walk in, most of my interactions in this, most of my discussions about this happen on online spaces. But it does happen face to face as well. I was playing a gig at the bar on Friday night, and I had a young woman come up to me, and she was talking to me, and she was, you know, complimenting me on a band. I grew up in this region. I grew up in Vernon. From the time that I was about 4 until I was 10, we moved to Southern Ontario. And when I would walk around the streets of downtown Vernon or in Kelowna with my mother, people would come up to me and rub my head because they had never seen black hair before. They had never had any interaction with it before. And they thought it would be totally cool to just get their hands on it. They wouldn't ask, they wouldn't say anything, they would just touch my hair. So as a result of that, I really don't like it when people touch my hair. Not only that, it's fairly common. I think if you talk to, I don't know that every single black person on the planet has had this experience, but I know quite a few who have, where people just think that because your hair is interesting and exotic, that therefore they have license to your personal autonomy, to put their hands on you because of how interesting it would be to explore the black experience in that way. So this young woman came up to me and she said, I really like your band, I had a lot of fun, I love your hair. And immediately I kind of stiffened and I said, thank you. And she said, can I touch it? And I just said, no. And she was really offended. She was mystified. Why not? And I didn't have the heart to tell her, because you have a bunch of racist ass shit happening in your brain right now, but what do you do? So I just kind of said, no, thanks, I'll just not have you touch me, would be great. So, you know, it's possible to be interacting in a minority space, say something without understanding that it's racially charged. And we see this a lot in the online community. There's a common and consistent complaint from people who are involved in social justice discussions, who feel as though they're being treated unfairly, they're being accused of being a racist or a misogynist or a something unfairly, just because they were just asking questions, or just because of this, or just because of that. This happens a lot. And I want to take a minute, or more than a minute, to kind of flip that on its head with the help of Mr. Bill Murray.